Good evening, I'm Mark Padgett and I'm running for Knoxville City Mayor. I'm a Knoxville native. I grew up in the Lonsdale and Halls communities and now live in the Rocky Hill area with my wife Katie, our 22-month-old daughter Kirby, our 5-day-old son William Pierce, our dog Kathy, and William Pierce is doing great. We're going to call him Pierce and happy to have welcomed him on Friday at 2:10. My wife is doing well. In addition. So, I tell people I'm running for Knoxville Mayor for two reasons. Number one, I grew up in a family that really valued public service. In my family, you'd sit around the kitchen table and be expected to know what was going on in Knoxville, to have read the newspaper and have an opinion about it. And number two, I believe Knoxville's at a crossroads. We've come a long way the last 6 to 8 years, but I don't think we've somehow made it around a bend where it doesn't matter who the next mayor is. I believe that the next mayor of Knoxville should be just as comfortable sitting across a boardroom table with a world-class CEO, recruiting that company to Knoxville, telling them why Knoxville's a great place to start a business, to move a business, to grow a business, as they are sitting across a kitchen table, talking to a neighborhood group, from Fountain City or West Hills, Vestal or Burlington, talking about neighborhood issues. In this campaign, I've really said that the four things that we've heard people talk most about and that I want to focus on as mayor are these things. Growing jobs in the economy. So one thing we can't afford to get wrong. Number two, making sure our neighborhoods are safer and stronger and better connected. I want to make Knoxville the most walkable, bikeable, runnable city in the Southeast. Number three, to make sure our government is efficient, that's accessible and transparent. And number four, to continue the vision to grow downtown Knoxville. I look forward to all of our questions tonight that you'll have for us and look forward to getting to know you better. Thank you. I'm Mark Padgett.
We'll start with Mr. Padgett first. And the first question is, what will you do to ensure all districts in Knoxville are represented on important boards such as NPC?
Well, I've always said that whether we're talking about districts, whether we're talking about gender or race or parts of town, that Knoxville's grown to expect nothing less from the mayor's office than whether you're talking about boards and commissions, the 6th floor of the city-county building. Knoxville deserves to be represented from all sectors, and how you do that, I think, best is to be listening. My grandfather was really fond of telling me, the Lord blessed you with 2 ears and 1 mouth, use accordingly. And I think that's great advice for us. The next mayor can't know everything. I tell people all the time, I don't have all the answers. I don't even know what all the questions are, but I know the value of listening and surrounding myself with the best and brightest people. To reach out to our different district council members, to our at-large council members, to make sure that I know what's going on there, to reach out to our different faith-based organizations, to reach out to our business organizations, our community organizations, and listen to them. Many of our mayors have had something like the Mayor's Night Out or whatever it might be. I pledge to do that. I've pledged that each week to sit down with a big business and a small business in Knoxville to better understand what they're going through. And I've pledged to continue the monthly meetings with neighborhood organizations. The next mayor needs to be somebody that's listening, somebody that knows they don't have all the answers, somebody that wants to include those experts in our community. One of the greatest things I've learned over this last year is, and it's really made me proud of Knoxville, whether you're talking about our not-for-profits, our communities, or our businesses, we have some amazing leaders in our community, and we've got to engage those. One person or even one team can't do it alone. It's going to take all of us together, working together, pitching in, and I always tell people, I'm always going to ask you for more than what you get from me. I'm going to ask you for your time, for your resources, for your abilities to make Knoxville a better place to live.
Downtown North, the Downtown North redevelopment plan, with facade improvements and millions of dollars of new investment spurred by the public-private partnerships, has been much trumpeted. Other than the South Waterfront and urban wilderness projects, what will you, as the mayor, do to make the same things happen in South Knoxville, especially in terms of facade improvements? Be specific.
I think something we should recognize in Knoxville, and I hope communities around this country do, is those federal dollars that were at a premium and really available over the last few years are just not going to be there in the future. And so we better start thinking of sustainable in means of how can we sustain programs without federal funding and state funding, as was mentioned earlier. About a week ago, or a little more than a week ago, actually almost 2 weeks ago, I unveiled almost a 30-page document, a 28-page document that we called the Padgett Plan that detailed, it took the 4 issues that I talked about earlier and detailed those into exact projects. And I want to just talk, and I don't know that I can get much of this out in 2 minutes, but I want to just touch on 2 items that are actionable items that I would like to push. Number 1, in the state of Tennessee, they have something called 10 Vescos. As a small business, one of the biggest barriers to growing is access to capital. I've proposed taking that state model that Governor Bredesen instituted and Governor Haslam has reinvested in some of that same type of method of growing business, and do that here on a Knoxville level to help our small businesses have access to capital that banks don't otherwise lend to. Number 2, as far as homeowners are concerned, I know we've had a lot of federal money in the past to help business or to help homeowners to make their homes more energy efficient. What I'd like to do as mayor is institute a program where we work with the state legislature and ask them to have KUB finance the energy efficiency upgrading of homes around Knoxville. Many times in our homes in Knoxville, you might have a homeowner paying a $400 utility bill and an a $400 mortgage and an $800 or $1,000 utility bill. I grew up in the home that my great-great-grandfather built back in 1905, and it wasn't built with a lot of energy efficiency savings in it. What I'd like to do is help those people to upgrade their home, have KUB finance that upgrading, and then they pay that back, paying the same utility bill they've always been paying until that loan's paid off. It's going to create jobs. It's going to make sure that those people are living more comfortably, and that ultimately when that loan's paid off, it'll make sure that person saves $300 to $400 a month or so, and that's a game changer for many people.
What part of the Chapman Highway Corridor Plan will you move forward with first? Explain why and tell how you will do this.
I think this is a great question, and I want to answer that question, but I want to say that we need to take advantage of the gains that we've made. And what I mean is, my company builds software, and we don't build software and pencils. We build software, and then when we grow, we expand off of that software, and we use the things that have already been successful. And what I mean further by that is we've had so much success in downtown Knoxville. Whether you're talking about east expansion out into the warehouse district, or whether you're talking about south expansion to things we've talked about along the South Knoxville waterfront, the next mayor needs to be able to strategically invest and get the best return on investment. And so what I would tell you is I'm going to look at it like this. Where we've already invested so much money, where we've already had so many successes, I'm going to look first to invest in areas that kind of build upon those successes out towards the community. So the ones that are closer in towards the city, I believe, have more viability, no matter what portion of town. North, I think there's some more opportunity. East as well, in the warehouse district portion of Magnolia Corridor, and closest in South Knoxville. And that's where I would start with investing dollars to show the best return on investment.
How would you support economic development and the riverfront effort in South Knoxville using the former Baptist Hospital property? A very popular question here.
The Old Baptist, Old Mercy, now Tenova Hospital is definitely a speed bump to progress in South Knoxville, I believe. And I've talked with the folks that own that and that run that, and they've told me that their operational costs, just running an empty building, over about a 5 or 6 year span, are the exact costs of tearing it down. Now, I don't know how many people are aware. I've been told of at least 3 or 4 different groups that have looked at buying this, and when they get into the kind of the brass tacks and looking at the infrastructure, they just can't. It's more expensive to try to renovate than it is to just demolish. I don't know what the answer is. I'd love to see it repurposed, but the answer may be to start with a level playing field and demolish the Old Baptist, just the main portion of the hospital there. There is so much opportunity in South Knoxville, and the Baptist Hospital is no exception. When you look at the 1,000 acres of urban wilderness, when you look at the proximity, the iconic location of that property, the proximity to downtown Knoxville, the opportunity to grow as a company, I think Knoxville has a great opportunity to really recruit a major player. I don't know if it's a technology firm, I don't know who that might be, but I think that the best way to start there is probably from a blank slate. And I think that those are some great investments we've got to work with. The next mayor has to work with the new owners at Tenova, and I believe it's going to be in the private sector now. And I think Like Mr. O'Hara, I believe that this is going to be something that you see a change in the attitude of moving this project forward and doing something with it. And I'm looking forward to working with the new owners and attracting hopefully a world-class company to move into that location. Thank you for having us here. I believe we have about another 5 of these debates set up over the next few weeks, and I look forward to this. It's great to share the stage with Madeline, and we enjoy this. Knoxville is at a crossroads, and it's up to you to choose the next vision. I believe there are some real differences between the two of us, and in the end we want the same thing for Knoxville. We want Knoxville to be a great city, to live up to the full potential of Knoxville. I believe that my unique experiences working for Governor Bredesen in state government, making government more efficient, cutting the waste, and cutting the red tape, saving taxpayer dollars, starting my own small business and growing it. I believe there's value in having experience growing a business, in creating jobs, in making a payroll. I think that if you look at cities in this state that have elected and invested in business-minded mayors, here in Knoxville with Bill Haslam, in Chattanooga with John Kinsey and Bob Corker, and in Nashville with Phil Bredesen, when those cities have elected mayors with business experience, the right type of experience, that are fiscal conservatives, they've been able to transform those cities. I believe I have that right amount of experience, kind of a unique set of experiences that will position me to take advantage of where we are as a city. I want to ask for your vote and your support on November 8th. Early voting again does start October 19th, but Election Day is November 8th. Thank you all for having us here, and have a great evening.
Mr. O'Hara, Mr. Padgett, thank you.